I watched my neighbors shave their heads in silence while the president of our HOA stood there smiling, clipboard in hand, threatening anyone who refused with fines, towing, and eviction. She said it was for her daughter's cancer. She said it was about compassion. What it really was power. And I was the one person who refused to give it to her. It started with an email. One of those all-caps red flag emails that land in your inbox and immediately raise your blood pressure before you even open it. Mandatory emergency HOA meeting. Attendance required. Failure to attend will result in fines. No agenda, no explanation. Just urgency and threat wrapped together like they always were with this HOA. I remember staring at my screen, letting out a slow breath, already tired before the evening even arrived. I'd lived in this neighborhood for 6 years, long enough to know that when the HOA said emergency, it usually meant someone wanted attention or control, and 9 times out of 10 that someone was Melissa Grant. Melissa was our HOA president, mid-40s, perfect blowout, permanent expression that hovered somewhere between disappointment and smug satisfaction. She didn't walk into rooms so much as she claimed them. She had that way of speaking where every sentence sounded like a verdict. She loved rules, loved enforcement, loved reminding people that she had power over their homes, their cars, their wallets. But even for her, this meeting felt different, heavier, sharper. The community room was packed that night. Folding chairs filled people standing along the walls, all of us confused, irritated, whispering. When Melissa finally walked out, she didn't start with rules or fines like usual. She paused, let her shoulders drop, let her voice shake just enough. "My daughter," she said, pressing a hand to her chest, "has been diagnosed with cancer." The room changed instantly. You could feel it. Gasps. Someone covered their mouth. A woman 2 rows up whispered, "Oh my God." Sympathy rushed in like a tide. For a brief moment I felt it too. I'm not a monster. Cancer is every parent's nightmare. If she'd stopped there, if she'd asked for prayers or support, the night would have ended very differently. She didn't stop. She straightened up, lifted her chin, and said, "In solidarity with my daughter, this community will shave their heads. Not ask, not invite, will." She said it wasn't about fundraising, not about awareness. It was about unity, about showing her daughter she wasn't alone. And anyone who refused, anyone who kept their hair, would be demonstrating cruelty, a lack of empathy, a failure of moral character. She started listing consequences like she was reading off a grocery list. Daily fines, loss of access to community amenities, towing, liens, legal action. I remember laughing under my breath, at first convinced it had to be a joke, a bad one. Someone near the back actually asked if she was serious. Melissa didn't smile. She just stared him down and said, "This is not optional." That was the first moment something cold settled in my stomach. I went home that night and stood in my bathroom looking at my reflection, running my fingers through my hair. It wasn't about vanity, it was about autonomy, about the fact that a woman with a clipboard thought she had the right to decide what happened to my body. And the more I replayed the meeting, the more something bothered me. She never said when the diagnosis happened, never named a hospital, never mentioned treatment, no chemotherapy, no timeline, just fear and authority fused together. By the end of the week, the madness became real. I saw my neighbor across the street standing in his driveway with a freshly shaved head, staring at the ground like he'd lost something he couldn't get back. Another woman walked her dog wearing a scarf pulled low, eyes fixed straight ahead. Bald heads multiplied fast. Melissa called it beautiful. She took photos and posted them in the HOA group chat with captions about true compassion and real community. And anyone who still had hair stood out, including me. I kept mine. Not because I didn't care, but because none of this felt right. And that was enough to make me a target. Melissa showed up at my house one afternoon with 2 board members in tow. She didn't knock. She announced herself. Told me my refusal was emotionally violent. Told me I was setting a dangerous example. When I calmly asked to see a doctor's report, her face tightened for half a second before the smile snapped back into place. She said medical privacy mattered. Funny thing to say, considering my scalp apparently didn't. That night I sat on my couch feeling smaller than I ever had in that neighborhood. I wondered if I was wrong, if I was being heartless, if grief had driven her to extremes and I was punishing her for it. That doubt ate at me. I could feel it pressing in, pushing me toward compliance just so the pressure would stop. There was a moment, I won't lie, where I considered it, where I thought maybe I should just shave it and be done. Then the fines started. Electronic notices, warning letters taped to doors. One guy had his car towed while he was literally at a barber shop scheduling an appointment under pressure. Melissa joked about commitment. I heard her laugh once when someone complained. That laugh, it wasn't grief. It was enjoyment. That's when it clicked. This wasn't about her daughter. It was about obedience. And if she could make people cut their hair, she could make them do anything. So I stopped confronting her. I went quiet. Quiet scares liars. I started listening, replaying meetings in my head, writing down every hospital name she dropped, every date she contradicted. Patterns showed up fast once emotion was stripped away. I called the hospital she claimed had admitted her daughter. I didn't ask for records, just policies, just whether diagnoses like that were communicated the way she described. The woman on the phone went quiet, said she couldn't comment, but that their name shouldn't be used publicly like that. Then a neighbor mentioned seeing her daughter at a grocery store across town, laughing, healthy, hair untouched. That was the moment my doubt finally died. I reached out again, this time explaining that a public official was using a supposed cancer diagnosis to enforce financial penalties. That got attention. Risk management called back. Eventually, a doctor did too. He didn't share private details. He didn't have to. He told me exactly what he'd told Melissa weeks earlier. A swollen lymph node. More tests needed. Cancer unlikely. No diagnosis. No oncology referral. Discharged the same day. She hadn't misunderstood. She had lied. The next HOA meeting was packed. Melissa walked in, confident loyalists behind her like trophies. She started the same speech, the same trembling voice, the same claim that doctors had confirmed everything. I stood up, and when the doctor stepped forward, the room went silent. He spoke slowly, carefully, said he wasn't there to discuss a patient, only to clarify what he never said. No cancer diagnosis, no treatment, no medical basis for hair shaving. Melissa snapped, screamed about privacy, about cruelty, threatened fines. That outburst did the rest. Police arrived. Emails were handed over, statements taken. Melissa was arrested for fraud, coercion, abuse of authority. The HOA removed her on the spot. Accounts frozen. Fines reversed. She was escorted out, still shouting, still blaming, still powerless. No one cheered. People just touched their shaved heads in silence. I stood there breathing, realizing how close I'd come to giving in. How easily fear becomes obedience when truth stays quiet. And the lesson was simple. Authority without truth always collapses.